Venomous Villain, also known as VV2, was released on August the 3rd of 2004 as a second album to Vaudeville Villain under the moniker Victor Vaughn, which is MF Doom's alias. But here's the problem, it's not on streaming, and copies of it, like vinyl, can go for a lot. So what's the deal with this album, and why is it just so hard to even come by? So let's talk about it. But first, a bit of backstory on Victor Vaughn. The name Victor Vaughn comes from a character called Victor Von Doom, aka Doctor Doom, which is from Fantastic Four, which is like the main super villain in that show. And then he also uses this as an alias to his main name, MF Doom, as like a different rapping style to like be like a newer version of like what's currently happening in rap, as well as to have like this younger, different attitude towards like MF Doom. He's also featured in Mad Villainy, which I talked about in my last music related video, which you can see here, which I featured the alias in the video talking about how he's stealing MF Doom's girl, and yeah, it's quite good. You have to watch it. I think it's honestly a very good song. But without Mad Villainy getting leaked to the public on the internet, MF Doom probably wouldn't have made this album, because after that album got leaked to the internet, he decided to make two separate projects after they go on their separate ways. He made Take Me to Your Leader, which is under the moniker King Ghidorah, and then in September 16, 2003, he made Vaudeville Villain under the name Victor Vaughn, which is quite different. Let me explain. Every MF Doom album has like a beat that's made by him, or at least all of it. This time, none of that. Instead, he opts to get features members under the label Sound Inc., which means that this was one of the first MF Doom albums to not feature any beats by him. And he also changes up his style in this album as well, with my favourite being,
"There's four sides to every story. If these walls could talk, they probably still ignore me."
He still gives that tongue-in-cheek on like his other albums, but it just feels different, like he's rapping in a different style, but he also can give that funny and wit end to it as well. It's great how he mixes it all up. But then that leaves us on to Venomous Villain. Why is that not on streaming? Why is that not here? Well, now I've given a bit of a backstory on Victor Vaughn as a character as well as MF Doom's discography up until then. So, let's get into it. Venomous Villain, or VV2, was released on August the 3rd, 2004, to what can only be described as a room temperature response from fans and critics alike. It featured 12 tracks lasting from 35 minutes, 25 seconds long, with, in my opinion, with Doom only rapping for like roughly 12 minutes or so, with the album having a few sketches as well as features such as Man-Child's Mars Ill, Israel, Carl Kavori-Kian? Nailed it. Bull Keith and Poison Pen, with my favourite tracks in my opinion being the third track, Fallback Titty Fat, and I think the ninth track, Ode to Road Rage. The album feels like a cash grab in my opinion, with Doom giving some like throwaway bars for it, and the production felt pretty lacking, like Dope Skill, which feels like the producer just listened to Operation Doomsday and just went, yep, I can do that, and then just throw in some audio cuts like what they did on Mad Villainy to show like it's like meant to be like a villainous character and just called it a day. Whereas like in other cases, like the one I said I actually kind of liked was Ode to Road Rage, the beat just feels pretty stagnant and repetitive. It just keeps the same pace over and over, and it just doesn't change up at all, which is just kind of sad, as it could have been quite decent if it was done to a better standard than it received. Another speculation I saw online while researching this video, as information for this album surprisingly is quite limited, is that he could have also been paid off by the label to have his name on the album, well, his all ego name, for him to be on it. But he also says on the song Back End,
"Dub it off your man, don't spend that $10. I did it for the advance. The back end sucks. It's better than sitting up in a crack den with the Mac 11 yelling at your
that this also could be a plausible answer as well, that he got paid off in cash to do this album, as well as to be featured quite little on his own standalone project. The key takeaway from this is that he had no input on this album, and is probably the main reason why it's not on streaming to begin with, as he felt like it wasn't up to his standards, and he just felt like he just probably thrown some throwaway bars and just called it a day, because it just got lost to the shadow of time. It just doesn't hold up to the other standards of his other albums. Like, even his weaker projects, in many people's eyes, Key to the Cuffs and Neruvian Doom, felt more stronger, as he, in one case, when as a producer on Neruvian Doom, produced some pretty good standing beats, and on JJ Doom he thrown some pretty clever bars, like rhyming Eye of Jola Jokill, which is a volcano out of Iceland, which in that regards can explain why it's not been put on streaming at all and just got left aside, as well as, not to mention, if you want to get physicals of this album, as far as I know there is one CD pressing of this album and one vinyl pressing of this album. While researching this video I found the Insomniac Records label, which is the one that had this album underneath it. They were selling the CD for $11 and the vinyl for $10, and now that's completely opposite way around. I just found that hilarious. Now, if you want to listen to this album, I'll leave a link to YouTube video that you can listen to its entirety. But if you want my honest opinion, just listen to Vaudeville Villain. It has better production and it has more creative bars that are far superior to this album. Like,
he said no, duck sauce, soy sauce, and this ain't no Burger King, so you don't get no toy, boss.
It's one of my favourite lines. It's off Ray Dawn. Honestly, give it a listen and you might enjoy it a lot more than you may think. If not, then that's completely fine. End of the day, we all like different stuff, different albums, different music, different everything. With that being said, thank you for watching. I know this video has been cooking for quite a bit of time. I've been busy doing work and all other stuff, so I haven't had much time to create this video, which is quite bad in my opinion, so I'm sorry about that. And I've also got some new stuff into my collection, so I want to create a vinyl collection video at some point as well, showcasing what I've got, because I think that might be pretty cool, and I can go into more in depth about where it comes from, how much I paid for it, what pressing it is, and all sorts of shit that might be quite cool to learn about or just to nerd out about. With that being said, thank you for watching. I'll see you on the dance floor.